Mike Vardy. The Productivity Diet. A practical guide to nurturing your productive potential. Sometimes your calendar can feel like a frantic game of Tetris. Meetings drop from the sky, tasks stack to the ceiling, and one wrong move equals game over. Traditional productivity hacks urge you to squeeze more blocks into the grid, but real life refuses to play along. Energy nosedives after lunch, a surprise school pickup eats your afternoon, and inspiration shows up at midnight. To navigate this effectively, a better approach involves creating a smarter recipe for your time, one that feeds focus, respects your rhythms, and leaves space for the unexpected. Think of time the way an athlete thinks of training. Some days call for sprints, others for long, steady miles, and every program builds in recovery so tomorrow's workout doesn't suffer. The aim is sustainable momentum, consistent progress that feels energizing rather than exhausting. That means giving each day a clear headline so decisions shrink, steering attention with flexible routes that fit the moment, and pausing regularly to ask, "Is this still working for me?" To help you build this kind of sustainable, energizing approach, this Blink guides you through assembling your personalized productivity diet. You'll learn how to theme your time so every block has a purpose. You'll also discover ways to choose adaptable pathways of attention that match your resources, energy, and context. And finally, you'll explore the best way to establish reflection rituals to keep your system fresh, and how to adopt long-term habits that protect your well-being while sustaining peak performance. Sounds good? Let's jump right in. The power of time theming. Picture waking up already knowing what the day is for. Instead of scanning a to-do list the length of a novel, you greet a single theme. One clear chapter headline that sets the tone. Left unthemed, the mind ping-pongs between scattered obligations, bleeding minutes into indecision. Giving time a job description means you begin with momentum instead of searching for it. That's the promise of what the author calls time theming, the first ingredient in a balanced productivity diet. You can think of time theming as layering focus onto your calendar. Daily themes sit at the base, with snappy labels such as Admin Monday or Learning Friday that spotlight one flavor of work. Above them rise weekly and monthly themes for medium-range projects and seasonal themes that sync effort with the year's natural ebb and flow. An annual axiom, a guiding motto like "less but better," crowns the structure. Cutting across everything are horizontal themes, recurring stripes that gather routine tasks. Think email triage, expense logging, and household chores, whenever they pop up. With all 6 layers in play, a cluttered timetable becomes a topographic map you can read at a glance. So, what makes this thematic structure valuable? Themes predecide where your attention goes, sparing you the tiny but relentless choices that burn mental fuel. By removing trivial decisions, you free bandwidth for creative problem-solving. When Tuesday already belongs to client work, you don't waste energy debating whether to polish slides or answer support tickets. You simply do the client work. That cognitive relief feeds momentum, while the thematic structure lets you match tasks to natural energy curves. Deep focus creations land in high-alert windows, lighter lifts fill the post-lunch lull, and recovery days reclaim their rightful place. The result is fewer context switches, smoother cognitive transitions, and a measurable uptick in output quality. Fortunately, getting started is super low stakes. Simply choose a single layer, daily, horizontal, or monthly, and test it for a fortnight. Ask, is this label nudging me toward the right actions? Keep what clicks, tweak or drop what doesn't. Once the first layer feels instinctive, stack another. But keep the iterations small. One tweak per review cycle preserves clarity while preventing over-engineering. Treat these thematic layers as a menu of focus, adjusting portions as goals and seasons change. When your calendar carries intentional headlines, the inner noise quiets, momentum compounds, and each tick of the clock feels less like a demand and more like an invitation to savor meaningful work, one satisfying course at a time. Soon, instead of agonizing over your next best move, you'll catch yourself saying, "It's Tuesday, let's dive in." 5 routes to effortless attention. You've likely noticed that your ability to focus isn't always the same. Attention tends to act like a shapeshifter, widening or narrowing, and sometimes disappearing altogether, depending on the task and your state of mind. A themed calendar tells you when to tackle something, but once you're in the chair, you still need a strategy for how to work. That's the job of what the author calls attention paths. These make up 5 distinct routes that let you match tasks to the reality of the moment. This makes focus feel natural instead of forced. Let's start off with time-based paths, these being quick wins. Glance at the clock, pick a task that fits the gap, and wring value from pockets of downtime. 5 minutes before a meeting, you'll have greater luck firing off that follow-up email than cracking open a giant slide deck. Resource-based paths revolve around what's available. If a project requires a colleague's input or a specific tool, save it for when those pieces are in place. Stuck without Wi-Fi? Shift to work that only needs a notebook and your brilliant brain. Next up, energy-based paths respect your biology. Pour peak mental horsepower into deep, creative efforts. Think strategy sessions, complex coding, and long-form writing. When the tank runs low, pivot to lighter lifts like organizing files or proofreading. The 4th group of paths is activity-based, and these keep you in one cognitive lane by batching similar actions. Group phone calls, batch data entry, or brainstorm multiple article ideas in a single sitting. Staying in the same mental gear trims the drag of constant context switching. Finally, we arrive at theme-based paths. These zoom out to the level of broader purpose. Ask which tasks move a larger mission forward and give those items center stage. By aligning daily actions with overarching goals, you trade mere busywork for bona fide momentum. Choosing the right path is like picking a trail for a hike. Terrain, daylight, and energy all matter. Arrive at your desk half-charged. A time or activity-based route keeps progress steady without draining your last spark. Hit a high-energy window with every resource at hand. Slide into theme or energy-based work and tackle the heavy lifts. And when life lobs a curveball, which it inevitably will, lean on these paths to provide a fast reset. Instead of stalling out, you scan the options, pick the route that suits the new landscape, and keep moving. Attention paths transform the concept of focus from a brittle state into a matter of skillful precondition setting. Pair them with clear time themes, and you'll always know not just when something belongs on your agenda, but how to meet it with the right resources, energy, and intent, regardless of what the day throws your way. Embrace reflective practice. Productivity systems run best when they breathe, flexing with the shifting demands of work and life. That flexibility comes from reflection, the habit of stepping back to ask, is this setup still serving me? Unfortunately, however, reflection is often missing from traditional productivity models. If you're new to reflective practices in your productivity stack, start with daily touchpoints. At each day's end, pause for a minute and note 3 things: 1 win, 1 snag, and 1 tiny tweak you could make for tomorrow. This practice could take place in a physical journal, a 2-minute voice memo, or in your mind on an evening walk. The magic lies in noticing patterns while they're fresh. Small adjustments made every 24 hours prevent minor misalignments from compounding into major detours. Then, once a week, switch to a more detailed review. For instance, block off half an hour as the weekend winds down and run through 3 prompts. First, what work felt genuinely meaningful? Second, where did distraction crash the party? Third, what single shift will help next week track closer to your priorities? Sitting with prompts such as these turns Sunday night into an energizing and strategic reset rather than a frantic copy and paste of last week's unfinished tasks. Finally, every quarter, or whenever life's tectonic plates start to move, conduct a big picture audit. The Stop, Start, Continue scan can help keep it simple. Stop habits, projects, or commitments that deplete more than they deliver. Start fresh practices or experiments that align with who you're becoming. Continue rituals and relationships that still pay dividends. This sweep guards against incremental drift, ensuring your ambitions evolve alongside your reality. Journaling is the classic vessel for all the above because it leaves a breadcrumb trail of thinking you can revisit later. Yet the format is flexible. A shared online document with your partner, a personal video diary, or a standing coffee chat with a close friend can surface the same insights. The benefit lies in the externalization, getting your reflections out of your head and into a form you can inspect with a cooler eye. When daily nudges, weekly recalibrations, and periodic deep dives work together, you build a seamlessly self-correcting system. Time theming tells you when to work, attention paths show how to match tasks to circumstances, and layered reflective practice ensures the whole framework keeps pace with your growth. Instead of clinging to a rigid routine, you engage in an ongoing conversation between what you're doing and who you're becoming. A responsive rhythm that lets productivity mature right alongside you. Sustaining your productivity diet. Doing good work isn't hard. Doing good work week after week without running yourself ragged is the real trick. Sustainable productivity treats your time and energy like renewable resources. You spend them wisely, replenish them often, and keep a close eye on the gauges so they never hit empty. Staying attuned to those gauges means noticing the early whispers of burnout. Mornings that begin with a sigh, focus that scatters after 10 minutes, creativity that feels bone dry. When those signals appear, it's helpful to review your themed calendar and look for clusters of heavy lift days. If every block is labeled deep work, you might consider sprinkling in lighter sessions, admin catch-ups, creative play, casual collaboration that let your brain switch gears and cool down. When the to-do list still feels like an emergency room, trim it with a ruthless question, like, does this move the mission, or can it be delegated, simplified, or deleted? Replenishing your energy also requires giving rest the same respect you give deadlines. This could mean treating breaks as fixed appointments, 10-minute strolls between calls, a midday stretch session, a tech-free evening, a hobby-only Saturday. Horizontal themes make this simple. Wednesday at 3 p.m. might always be a walk. Friday's last hour a laid-back planning ritual. Pairing demanding days with gentler ones is also beneficial, and it can be valuable to leave the occasional blank block for pure, unstructured wandering. Boredom is fertile ground, after all. Some of your sharpest insights surface when the mind has room to roam. Working sustainably also involves aligning tasks with your natural energy rhythms, which deserve a starring role. The ideal approach is to slot your toughest tasks into natural peaks and push email, filing, or form filling into the inevitable valleys. A mantra like "create before lunch, communicate after" lets you ride the wave instead of paddling against it. Keep a brief written log, just a line or two on mood, focus, and fatigue, and you'll spot patterns before exhaustion calcifies into burnout. Based on these observations, you can then make minor course corrections like adjusting theme labels, shuffling task types, or shortening work sprints. Such adjustments made early beat major repairs down the line. Underpinning all these practices is the recognition that a productivity approach is a living thing. Goals evolve, seasons shift, family life changes shape, and your system should flex along with them. For this reason, it's wise to incorporate regular checkpoints, maybe a mini review every Friday, a deeper reset at the end of each quarter, and an annual reflection that asks, what still serves me and what belongs in the compost? The aim is maintaining a steady alignment between what matters and how you spend your hours. When you treat focus, rest, and reflection as equal partners, productivity stops feeling like a treadmill and starts feeling like a well-paced hike. Challenging, yes, but also energizing, scenic, and built to go the distance. In this Blink to the Productivity Diet by Mike Vardy, you've learned that sustainable productivity comes from designing a rhythm where your best work and your well-being coexist. Applying this approach means giving each day a clear theme which helps minimize constant decision-making about what to do next. Picking tasks that match the resources, energy, and attention you actually have, rather than the superhero version of you that never gets tired, is key. Blocking space for reflection and recovery is treated with the same seriousness you reserve for meetings and deadlines. When your calendar offers both nourishment and rest, progress feels steady, creativity stays alive, and surprise demands become speed bumps instead of brick walls. Cultivating that balanced rhythm allows you to glide through work and life with more ease, more intention, and a genuine smile at the end of the day. Okay, that's it for this Blink. We hope you enjoyed it. If you can, please take the time to leave us a rating. We always appreciate your feedback. See you in the next Blink.